welcome for another edition of Entrepreneurs and Fuego, where entrepreneurs meet, align, and we're documenting the journey of incredible entrepreneurs such as Derek McCoy. Derek, thank you and welcome to Entrepreneurs and Fuego.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to be here. I appreciate it.
Hey man, you know, one of the things, and well, I'm going to get philosophical with you, man, because I mean, you look like a very thinking man, and you know, you didn't get where you are right now by coincidence. And we'll get there in a minute, but tell us a little bit about what your business is, what you do.
Yeah, I help others, right? I add value instead of trying to be successful or, try to have an agenda. I begin by, really trying to understand a person and just share who I am. Be a man of value, not of success. Just find out what is important to them. Active listening, right? 2 ears, one mouth. There's a reason. So you listen with the intent to understand, and when you speak to be understood. And that type of communication allows a bond to form very quickly.
That is a gift. And when did you find out you had this gift? I mean, it has to be...
It was a skill like juggling, right? Because you have to learn to listen.
Right.
Because our instinct is to talk.
Absolutely.
I was lucky. I took a Dale Carnegie course back in 2002, and they just taught me the right way to communicate with people, right? To begin with a smile, right? Be sincere. Give people a fine reputation to live up to. Listen to understand. Speak to be understood. And always, always, always do everything with correct intent.
Before 2002, what were you doing?
I was a stockbroker. I had seen all the movies, Boiler Room, and I wanted to be rich and famous. But there was a better way to do things, and I found out by the company I was working for. I won't throw them under the bus, but they were doing it wrong. They were hurting people and helping themselves. And
a lot of companies do.
They do, and I have a younger brother who's very close to me, who asked me, how could you live with yourself if that's what you're doing, knowingly?
Was that the moment that you said, maybe I should rethink what I'm doing?
So I went to my father, very close with him as well, and said, Pop, this is what they're doing. Here's what they're asking me to do. I'm not able to do that. And he said, well, here's your decision. You could either walk out of there or you could just play the game. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna go and research. I'm gonna try to help. So I went into the office, I said, I have a resignation letter and I have a case file that I wanna do for my clients. They said, well, we can't do that. And I said, it was really nice seeing them. I have a wonderful woman that never gave up on me. And she said, you're better than what you're telling yourself, so go get some education. Go get, she just used some word that motivated me that I'll never forget. That just made me know that there's better for me, and my motivation was her, to just become a better man for her. So I did.
Behind a great man, there's always a great woman.
For sure.
And you believe that now?
Of course. I was lucky. I didn't always believe that was going to be my outcome, but I was lucky. I was in the right place at the right time, and I was open enough to allow someone like her to actually see me for who I was. It was best moment, right? Well, that's how the kid being born, best moment.
So 2002, you do your research and you take the Dale Carnegie course.
Yes.
And you find inside you that you have this gift, that you can listen.
And you can coach. It made sense. If you're actually listening with the intent to understand so that you can help, why wouldn't you want others to tell you what they need out of life or how you can help them or what their end game is, so that you're just not just throwing things at darts at the board. You're actually coming up with a plan of action that allows them to accomplish their goals.
Why is it so hard for us to understand that though? I mean,
because everybody's got what's in it for me mentality, what's in it for only me mentality, right? It's an old way of thinking. That's not how you do things anymore. It's mutually beneficial. It's I'm gonna lead with correct intent so that we have an outcome, we have a relationship. And I don't have to make money or do this in order to further myself. I helped you get, and that is what's in it for me. That I help somebody become a better person, inspire them to want more. It's a mantra, right?
But it's also a personal reward, because every time you're helping someone to become much better than what they are, it has to be incredibly rewarding for you.
It is, and I enjoy helping, right? I enjoy seeing others maybe stuck in a spot, and maybe they're looking at a problem from the same level it was created, which how could you ever come to a conclusion that way, right?
Right.
So if you can tell them to say, hey, why don't you look at it this way, maybe this way, just never give in and saying you're defeated, but just always find a way. Like when you communicate with somebody, if you tell them something and they don't understand, well, we'll find another way to communicate that. I think that's a big problem with the kids, right? You yell at them, the way that we were yelled at.
Sure.
And they say, I have no idea what you meant. And then you say, go be brilliant. Well, I coach little kid football, both my 5 and 10-year-old, Derek and Robert. And you speak to a 5-year-old one way. And he understands, you need to get real low and touch it, right? And you speak to a 10-year-old who's been playing a little bit, and the conversation's different.
Right.
But you still need to get the same message across.
Sure.
Team, unity, together, right? Family. How you get it across really helps when you talk to individuals at different levels of business or interaction with anyone on the street. If you speak to be understood and listen to understand, you just got to find that way to have them understand what you're saying to them.
Who's your typical client? Who seeks you out?
I would say small to medium-sized business owners that are just stuck, right? They're looking to take the next step, but because they're trying to be a jack of all trades, they're looking to take that next step. They just don't know how, right? They're good at being a plumber. They're good at being a attorney, but they just don't know how to get to that next level. They've been burned by all the companies that call and just beat the phone, and they tell them, we can do this for a low price. And that's not how you do things, right? Everything's customized. Everything's like, tell me what you want out of this. What would you say is success? What is a good return on investment for you? Why is that number important to you? How much do you want to grow year after year? Have you thought 5 years down the line? Let's put together a plan that you can feel proud of, that we can be on the same page with, so that as we accomplish, we're checking things off.
Do you find that a lot of us have not thought about those which sound to me very routine and basic things that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, a lot of times fear stops people, right? They think, I won't be able to, it can't be done. We have a saying in my household, we don't use that C word, right? That's a 4-letter word that's not allowed because it might be challenging, but we're gonna have to find a way. And if you never give in to that fear, if you always have that, it's gonna work out. We just haven't found the answer just yet.
The plans of action, give me something specific, for instance, of a client. A typical client, well,
sure. I have a client.
A client that you've seen go from that position of neutrality where we're discussing right now. You come in, you listen, and then life changes for that client. Tell me that.
About 6 months ago, I met a gentleman named Chris Blake. He's a plumber in Louisiana. He had been working with a company named Yodel that was not really having his best interest in mind, right? Because they were promising more than they could deliver. And because he's a plumber, he believed. So when I found him, he was like a burned girlfriend, right? They cheated on, I don't want to be, I'm not going to talk to you. But then I asked him, what's going on in your life? You're 34 years old, you're married, you have 1 kid already, you're going to have any more. How long have you been in business? Why did you choose this profession? I see you're a Saints fan. Drew Brees is great. I'd love to have him on the Jets. Things that allow us to have a conversation. So then when I get him to understand that, look, I'm just a person like you. Why don't we talk, right? Because I have a skill set, so do you. So let's find out what your end game is. Where do you want to go in a year? What about 2? What about 5? Have you thought that far? Do you have a 30-day and a 90-day action plan? Are you following it? Are you tracking the money coming in? If you spend $1, do you know what it produced? Those details, most business owners just don't know.
Right.
So I show them. Here's how we can track it easily. And this is how you're going to know that if you spend $1 and get 2, that's good. If you spend $1 and get 3, that's better. If you spend $1 and get 50 cents, we have an issue. That's called out of business at some point. So why don't we set up to have success, but let's do dimes at a time. Right? Every month we win a little. Every month we win a little. Now we have success. Now we have confidence. So now we think maybe we can. And then you start to put together a plan of action that they are passionate about.
Was the fact that you kept them accountable?
Of course, and he keeps me accountable. They become friends. I
Sure.
mean, you gotta have passion, right? It's contagious. If you don't believe in what you're doing, it'll come across, just like intent. They'll see through you. So I do want them to be successful, more than my own, because I know that's the end game for me. If they're successful, I already won, right? So I had this conversation with him today. That's why he's on my mind. I started out 6 months ago. He had just a lot of issues, so we fixed them all, right? We went in there, we got a new website, we got all these new things in place so that he was Google compliant. And then we started to advertise. So much so that he said, we need to slow down a little. It's too much business. I can't keep up. I said, great, so let's go back to branding. Let's make sure that Facebook knows all about you now. So now we're doing this plan where we're pausing this, doing that, so that in a year from now, when his new baby's born, he doesn't have to work so hard to get the business, and he's growing at that 22%. That was a number that was important to him and his wife, because I want both parties in this to be involved, right? Because if I'm married, I know that every decision, business or personal, we discuss. That's what successful partnerships do. He's the same way.
Here's the cool thing about what you do that I see is that you have been able to find a way to listen and to be a psychologist, if you will, in understanding what people's pain is, or people's pains are, if you will, and then taking those pains, those issues as you described them, and putting them down in workable facets, very practical. This is what we're going to do. We're going to fix your website. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix this, and that. But coming from the top down, not from the down top, which most of people will give you, all right, yeah, just buy my group 1 or my plan B for so-and-so, and my plan C is for 3. So that's, you're selling something without knowing really what the problem is. But you're going the other way around. You're like really listening and engaging the client, if you will, and then you're saying, all right, this is what I think is going to work out. But now you have a lot more invested, if you will, emotionally in the client than just buy my plan 1,
so I had
2,
a mentor,
3.
right, like everybody else, a gentleman named Tim Healy, and we had a 3.5-hour conversation, well, let's say argument. He tells me that all decisions are based on emotion. I say logic. No, money, logic. Come on, you got to think about numbers. He says it's all emotion. So after 3.5 hours of losing a conversation that I thought I was right, I put my head down. I'm like, you're right. And since then, I understand that we make all decisions on emotion. We may rationalize with logic, but it's all emotion. So you have to understand what motivates them, what actually matters to them, and then find out how we can fix that first. Then we can talk about growing. So it's
if you don't understand your client from that point of view, how are you going to best serve them?
You're not. You get lucky. You don't grow a business by getting lucky in life.
Right.
Right? You grow a business on purpose with an end in mind. You have to start everything in life with the end in mind.
How long you been married?
We've been together since '97 and married since 2003. And we have 2 young men, AD, Bobby. They're the best, man. I love them to the pieces. We came out here about 1.5 years ago, and they're the greatest. I really do.
Your approach to solving business issues is unique, and I like that. I mean, I think that's an incredible niche, and I think that I would hope that more people would pitch their businesses. I mean, because you can apply what you're doing, right? I mean, you can apply what you're doing into any type of industry, any type of consulting, any type of a business in which you really have to devote a lot of your time in listening and trying to understand what's going on inside the entrepreneur's head. And then the technical aspect, the website, those are technical things that can be done.
People buy from you, why? Because they like and trust.
Yep.
They believe that you have their best interests at heart. There's no point in going forward until that's achieved.
Yep.
If it takes 10 days or it takes 10 months, whatever the duration is. Once we get there, though, it's okay, here's the end game. Now let's work backwards.
I love it.
Right?
You're going to come back and see us, man?
Anytime you like, sir.
This is what I like, because it's just a new approach that I have not heard in about 120 interviews that we've done so far.
Well, thank you.
So it's a very interesting thing that you've done, man. I respect that.
Thank
I really
you,
appreciate
sir.
that. Man.
I really do appreciate it.
Don't go anywhere, man. I got to say this.
Okay.
We're out.